Honestly, if you were Ann Coulter's attorney at a sanity hearing, where could you possibly start? Our number 2 story on the countdown, eclipsing even Bill O'Reilly and Malmedy, the Connecticut Screech has continued her assault on 9/11 widows after calling them witches who acted as if the terrorist attacks happened only to them. She's now told Reuters News that they are, quote, professional victims, all as part of the promotion of a book in which she claims liberals are, quote, godless.
This part is the part I really need to talk to you about. These broads are millionaires, lionized on TV and in articles about them, reveling in their status as celebrities and stalked by grieferazzis. I've never seen people enjoying their husband's death so much.
Yes.
Because they dare to speak out?
To speak out using the fact that they're widows. This is the left's doctrine of infallibility. If they have a point to make about the 9/11 Commission, about how to fight the war on terrorism, how about sending in somebody we're allowed to respond to? No. We always have to respond to someone who just had a family member die.
But aren't they the people
because then if
in
we
the middle
respond,
of the story?
oh, you're questioning their authenticity. No,
so
the story
grieve quietly.
No, the story is an attack on the nation.
And by the
that
way,
requires a foreign policy response.
And
that
by the
does
way,
not entail
they also criticized the Clinton
expertise.
administration for
That
their
does not-
failures leading up to 9/11.
Not the ones I'm talking about.
No, they have.
No.
They
Oh,
have.
no.
But is your message to them
No.
just
They were
grieve
cutting commercials for Kerry. They were using their grief in order to make a political point while preventing anyone from responding.
If you lose a husband, you no longer have the right to have a political point of view?
No, but don't use the fact that you lost a husband as the basis for your being able to talk about it while preventing people from responding. Let Matt Lauer make the point. Let Bill Clinton make the point. Don't put up someone I'm not allowed to respond to without questioning the authenticity of their grief.
But apparently you are allowed to respond to them.
Well, yeah, I did.
Let's return to this planet. To recap Coulter's argument, the wives of those who died in the worst attack in this nation's history enjoyed their husbands' deaths and profited off them. They have politicized 9/11. Their positions as widows immunize them from any criticism or debate over their opinions. All of this stated by a commentator, much of whose income in the last 4.5 years has derived from her speeches and writings about the deaths of those same men on 9/11. All of this stated by a commentator who has staunchly, repeatedly, and enthusiastically defended an administration that began to politicize 9/11 within a month of the nightmare and has never paused for a moment since. All of this stated by a commentator who has called those who have criticized her and her party un-American and now godless. All of this stated by a commentator who is bitching that these 9/11 widows can't be criticized while she is writing a book and going on TV and venomously criticizing them.
If people are going to use a personal tragedy in their lives to inject themselves into a national debate, I'm sorry, you can't just say, oh, we're off limits. Oh, now we're going to invoke the fact that our husbands died and you can't criticize us. They were specifically using their husband's death, and there were, gosh,
that doesn't mean they're
hundreds,
enjoying
in fact,
it. I mean, presumably they're going home at night and their husband's gone and their kids are there, and where's dad? And it's, geez, it's so depressing.
And so are the thousands of widows who were not cutting campaign commercials for Clinton. These women got paid. They ought to take their money and shut up about it.
The way Ann Coulter always does when she's criticized. Ms. Coulter's monthly walk on the swaying tightrope of her own emotional stability did not end there. In her book, she also wrote, and by the way, how do we know their husbands weren't planning to divorce these harpies? Now that their shelf life is dwindling, they'd better hurry up and appear in Playboy. Appearing in Playboy and getting divorced. Neither of those being scenarios Ann Coulter is ever going to have to deal with in her life. 5 of the most politically active of the 9/11 widows, including Kristen Breitweiser and Lori Van Auken, have responded in a written statement. Contrary to Ms. Coulter's statement, there was no joy in watching men we loved burn alive. There was no happiness in telling our children that their fathers were never coming home again. We adored these men and missed them every day. It is in their honor and memory that we will once again refocus the nation's attention to the real issues at hand, our lack of security, leadership, and progress in the 5 years since 9/11. And lastly, back to my allusion to the nightmare of having to defend Ann Coulter at a sanity hearing. That was inappropriate because it was insufficient. Imagine, in fact, defending her on Judgment Day or trying to find her soul.